My beloved child, I need you to stop for a moment. Stop the rushing, stop the worrying, stop the endless mental spinning that has become your normal way of existing. I see you drowning in the demands of life. I see you juggling more responsibilities than your heart can carry, managing more stress than your soul can bear, and carrying more weight than your spirit was designed to hold. You wake up each morning already exhausted by the thought of everything you need to accomplish. You go to bed each night with your mind racing through tomorrow's to-do list, next week's obligations, and next month's uncertainties. You live in a constant state of mental and emotional overwhelm that has become so familiar you think it is normal. But it is not normal, my child. It is not how I designed you to live. I see you trying to be everything to everyone while losing yourself in the process. I see you saying yes to requests when your heart is screaming no. I see you taking on burdens that were never meant to be yours, carrying responsibilities that belong to others, and managing problems that are beyond your control. You feel like you are drowning in obligations, suffocating under expectations, and crushed by the weight of trying to keep everyone happy while your own soul withers from neglect. But today I am going to teach you how to breathe again. Today I am going to show you how to find peace in the midst of chaos, how to discover rest in the middle of busyness, how to experience calm when everything around you feels out of control. Take a deep breath with me right now. Feel your shoulders dropping as you release the tension you have been carrying. Feel your jaw unclenching as you let go of the stress you have been holding. Feel your heart rate slowing as you remember that you are not alone in this overwhelming season. I want you to prepare your heart for what I am about to reveal. The enemy has convinced you that overwhelm is inevitable, that stress is unavoidable, that anxiety is just part of modern life. But I am about to show you that there is another way to live, a way of peace, rest, and divine calm that is available to you even in the midst of life's demands. You do not have to live overwhelmed. You do not have to exist in constant anxiety. You do not have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. I have a different plan for your life. A plan that includes peace that surpasses understanding, rest that restores your soul, and calm that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. Listen carefully, because your peace of mind depends on understanding what I am about to teach you about finding divine calm in the midst of life's storms. I see the many different ways that overwhelm has invaded your life, and I want you to know that I understand the crushing weight of trying to manage more than any human being was designed to handle. Some of you are overwhelmed by your work responsibilities. I see you dealing with impossible deadlines, unrealistic expectations, and workloads that would challenge a team of people. You check emails before you get out of bed and continue working long after you should be resting. You feel like you are always behind, always rushing, always trying to catch up to demands that seem to multiply faster than you can make them. You bring work stress home with you, carry it into your relationships, and let it steal your sleep. You feel guilty when you try to rest because there is always more to do. You feel anxious when you try to relax because you know tomorrow will bring even more pressure. Others of you are overwhelmed by family responsibilities. I see you managing the needs of children, aging parents, and extended family members while neglecting your own needs completely. You are the one everyone calls when they have a problem, the one everyone expects to have the answers, the one everyone depends on to keep everything together. You feel responsible for everyone else's happiness, success, and well-being. You sacrifice your own peace to maintain everyone else's comfort. You carry emotional burdens that belong to other people because you cannot bear to see them struggle, even when helping them is destroying your own mental health. Many of you are overwhelmed by financial pressures. I see you lying awake at night, calculating bills, worrying about expenses, and feeling the constant stress of never having enough. You work multiple jobs, cut every possible expense, and still feel like you are drowning in financial obligations. The stress of money affects every area of your life. You cannot enjoy simple pleasures because you feel guilty about spending money. You cannot make plans for the future because you are too focused on surviving the present. You cannot find peace because financial anxiety follows you everywhere you go. Some of you are overwhelmed by health challenges. I see you managing chronic conditions, dealing with pain, and navigating medical systems that feel complicated and impersonal. You feel like your body has betrayed you, like you are fighting battles that no one else can see or understand. The energy required to manage your health leaves little energy for anything else. You feel overwhelmed by medical appointments, treatments, and the constant need to monitor your condition. You worry about the future, about getting worse, about becoming a burden to others. Others are overwhelmed by the state of the world. I see you consuming news constantly, feeling responsible for problems you cannot solve, and carrying anxiety about issues that are completely beyond your control. You feel helpless about global problems, political divisions, and social issues that seem to be getting worse instead of better. This global overwhelm affects your local peace. You cannot enjoy your own life because you are constantly worried about what is happening elsewhere. You cannot find rest because you feel guilty about being happy when so much suffering exists in the world. Many of you are overwhelmed by the pace of modern life. I see you rushing from one commitment to another, trying to keep up with technology that changes faster than you can learn it, and feeling like you are always behind the curve. You feel pressure to be constantly productive, constantly connected, constantly available. You have forgotten how to be still, how to be quiet, how to simply exist without doing something. You feel guilty when you are not being productive, anxious when you are not busy, and restless when you try to rest. This overwhelm affects every dimension of your being. Emotionally, you experience chronic anxiety, irritability, and a sense of being constantly on edge. You feel like you are always in crisis mode, always preparing for the next emergency, always bracing for the next demand on your time and energy. You may experience emotional numbness as a way of protecting yourself from feeling too much. You may find yourself snapping at people you love because you have no emotional reserves left. You may feel like you are losing yourself in the demands of life, like you have become a function rather than a person. Mentally, this overwhelm creates brain fog, difficulty concentrating, and problems with memory. You feel like you cannot think clearly because your mind is constantly racing from one concern to another. You start projects but cannot finish them because you are distracted by other urgent matters. You may experience decision fatigue, where even small choices feel overwhelming because you have already made too many decisions. You may find yourself procrastinating on important tasks because you feel paralyzed by the sheer volume of things that need to be done. Physically, overwhelm shows up in your body as tension, headaches, muscle pain, digestive issues, and sleep problems. You may experience heart palpitations, shortness of breath, and other symptoms of chronic stress. Your immune system may be compromised, making you more susceptible to illness. You may find yourself relying on caffeine to function during the day and alcohol or other substances to wind down at night. You may eat poorly because you do not have time to prepare healthy meals, or you may lose your appetite entirely due to stress. Relationally, overwhelm affects your ability to connect authentically with others. You may withdraw from relationships because you feel like you do not have anything left to give. You may become irritable with people you love because you are operating from a place of depletion rather than abundance. You may feel guilty about not being present with family and friends, but you also feel resentful when they make demands on your time. You may find yourself going through the motions of relationships without experiencing the joy and connection they are meant to provide. Spiritually, overwhelm can create distance between you and me. You may feel like you do not have time for prayer, meditation, or spiritual practices. You may feel guilty about not being more spiritual, but you also feel like you cannot add one more thing to your already overwhelming schedule. You may question whether I care about your struggles, whether I am present in your chaos, whether I have abandoned you to handle everything on your own. You may feel like you are failing spiritually because you cannot find peace in the midst of your circumstances. My precious child, I see how overwhelm has stolen your joy, robbed your peace, and left you feeling like you are barely surviving instead of truly living. I see how you have accepted this state of constant stress as normal, how you have convinced yourself that this is just how life has to be. But I am here to tell you that overwhelm is not your destiny. Anxiety is not your portion. Stress is not your inheritance. I have something far better for you. A peace that surpasses understanding, a rest that restores your soul, and a calm that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. Beloved, I need you to understand something fundamental about how I designed you to live. You were never meant to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. You were never designed to manage everything, control everything, or be responsible for everything. When I created you, I built into your very DNA the need for rest, for peace, for seasons of quiet and calm. I designed your nervous system to handle temporary stress, not chronic overwhelm. I created your mind to focus on one thing at a time, not to juggle endless competing priorities. The overwhelm you are experiencing is not a sign that you are weak or inadequate. It is a sign that you are trying to live in a way that contradicts your design. You are attempting to function like a machine when I created you to be a human being with natural rhythms, limitations, and needs. Look at how I designed the natural world around you. The earth has seasons of growth and seasons of rest. Trees do not try to produce fruit year-round. They have seasons of dormancy that restore their ability to bear fruit. Even the ground needs to lie fallow periodically to regain its nutrients and fertility. Yet somehow you have convinced yourself that you should be productive every moment, available every hour, and capable of handling unlimited demands. without rest or renewal. This is not wisdom. This is rebellion against the natural order I established for your well-being. When Jesus walked the earth, he demonstrated a completely different way of living. Despite having the most important mission in human history, despite facing demands from crowds of people who needed healing, teaching, and hope, he regularly withdrew to quiet places to pray and rest. He did not try to meet every need, heal every person, or be available to everyone who wanted his attention. He understood that his effectiveness came not from doing more, but from staying connected to me, not from working harder, but from working from a place of rest and peace. Notice that Jesus never appeared overwhelmed, never seemed frantic, never gave the impression that he was barely keeping up with the demands of his ministry. He moved with purpose, but not with panic, with urgency, but not with anxiety, with compassion, but not with compulsion. This is the model I want you to follow. This is the way I designed you to live, connected to me, rooted in peace, operating from rest rather than striving from stress. The overwhelm you are experiencing comes from trying to be God in your own life and in the lives of others. When you take responsibility for things that are my responsibility, when you try to control outcomes that are beyond your control, when you attempt to meet needs that only I can meet, you create overwhelm. I want you to understand that there is a difference between being responsible and being responsible for everything. You are responsible for your choices, your actions, your responses, and your stewardship of what I have given you. But you are not responsible for other people's choices, for circumstances beyond your control, or for outcomes that depend on factors outside your influence. Much of your overwhelm comes from blurred boundaries between what is yours to manage and what is mine to handle. You have taken on burdens that were never meant to be yours, accepted responsibilities that belong to others, and tried to solve problems that are beyond human capacity to solve. Let me tell you about the divine principle of casting your cares upon me. This is not just a nice spiritual concept. It is a practical strategy for living in peace. When you cast your cares upon me, you are not being irresponsible or lazy. You are being wise and obedient. Casting your cares means acknowledging that some things are too big for you to handle, too complex for you to solve, and too important for you to manage alone. It means releasing control over outcomes and trusting me to work in ways that you cannot see or understand. This does not mean you become passive or stop taking appropriate action. It means you take the action that is yours to take and then release the results to me. You do your part and trust me to do my part, rather than trying to do both parts yourself. I also want you to understand the principle of divine priorities. Not everything that seems urgent is actually important. Not everything that demands your attention deserves your attention. Not everything that appears to be an emergency is actually your emergency to handle. I have given you the ability to discern between what is truly important and what is merely urgent, between what is your responsibility and what belongs to someone else, between what requires immediate action and what can wait for the right timing. This discernment comes through regular connection with me, through quiet moments where you can hear my voice above the noise of demands and expectations. When you are constantly busy, constantly moving, constantly reacting to the latest crisis, you lose the ability to hear my guidance about what truly matters. The peace I offer you is not the absence of challenges or the elimination of responsibilities. It is the presence of my calm in the midst of life's storms, the experience of my rest even when you are working, the knowledge of my control even when circumstances feel chaotic. This peace comes from understanding that you are not the general manager of the universe. You are not responsible for making everything work out perfectly. You are not required to have all the answers, solve all the problems, or meet all the needs around you. You are my beloved child, and I am your loving Father. I am bigger than your problems, stronger than your challenges, and more capable than you are of handling the complexities of life. When you try to do my job, you create overwhelm. When you let me do my job, you experience peace. I want you to consider the lilies of the field and the birds of the air. They do not worry about tomorrow, stress about provision, or feel overwhelmed by the demands of survival. They trust that I will provide what they need when they need it, and they focus on fulfilling their purpose in the present moment. This is not irresponsibility. This is trust. This is not naivety. This is wisdom. This is not passivity. This is rest. And this is the way I want you to live, trusting in my provision, focusing on today's responsibilities, and releasing tomorrow's worries to my care. Your overwhelm is not a badge of honor that proves how important or needed you are. It is a warning signal that you are operating outside of my design for your life. It is an invitation to return to the peace, rest, and calm that I have always intended for you to experience. Now, let me teach you 7 transformational principles that will help you move from overwhelm to peace, from anxiety to rest, from chaos to divine calm. First principle: peace is not the absence of problems, but the presence of my power. Many people believe that peace means having no challenges, no responsibilities, no difficult circumstances. But this kind of peace is impossible in a fallen world and would not actually be beneficial for your growth and development. True peace is not about changing your circumstances, but about experiencing my presence in the midst of your circumstances. It is not about eliminating all stress, but about finding rest even when stress is present. It is not about having no problems, but about having confidence that I am bigger than your problems. When Jesus slept in the boat during the storm, he was not sleeping because there was no storm. He was sleeping because he knew that his Father was in control of the storm. The disciples were overwhelmed by the circumstances, but Jesus was at peace because he understood that circumstances do not determine peace. Relationship with me determines peace. You can experience this same peace in the midst of your overwhelming circumstances. You do not need to wait for life to calm down to experience calm. You do not need to wait for stress to disappear to experience rest. You can access my peace right now, in the middle of whatever is overwhelming you. Second principle: boundaries are not walls that keep people out, but gates that let the right things in. Much of your overwhelm comes from having poor boundaries, saying yes to too many things, taking on responsibilities that belong to others, and allowing urgent matters to crowd out important matters. Learning to set healthy boundaries is essential for managing overwhelm. Boundaries are not selfish. They are stewardship. When you set appropriate boundaries, you are protecting the time, energy, and resources that I have given you so that you can use them for the purposes I have assigned to you. Without boundaries, you will dissipate your life force on things that aren't part of my plan for you. Setting boundaries means learning to say no to good things so that you can say yes to the best things. It means disappointing some people so that you can be faithful to your true calling. It means releasing some responsibilities so that you can excel in the responsibilities that are truly yours. This requires courage because people may not understand or appreciate your boundaries. They may try to make you feel guilty for not being available to meet their every need. But remember that their disappointment is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to steward your life according to my priorities, not according to other people's expectations. Third principle: rest is not earned through productivity, but received through trust. You have been conditioned to believe that rest must be earned, that you can only relax after you have completed all your tasks, that peace is a reward for productivity. But this creates a cycle where rest never comes because there is always more to do. I want you to understand that rest is not a reward for work. It is the foundation for work. You do not rest because you have finished everything. You rest so that you can do what needs to be done from a place of peace rather than panic. When I commanded the Sabbath, I was not suggesting that people take a day off after they had completed all their work. I was commanding them to stop working one day each week, whether their work was finished or not, to trust that I would provide what they needed, even if they were not constantly striving to produce it. This principle applies to daily rest as well as weekly rest. You need moments of peace throughout each day, not just at the end of the day. You need to pause, breathe, and reconnect with me regularly, not just when you have completed your to-do list. Fourth principle: worry is not preparation for problems, but paralysis in the face of possibilities. Many people justify their anxiety by calling it preparation or planning. They believe that worrying about potential problems helps them be ready for those problems. But worry is not preparation, it is paralysis. Worry takes the energy that could be used for productive action and wastes it on imaginary scenarios. It focuses your attention on problems that may never occur while preventing you from seeing solutions that are available right now. It creates stress about the future that robs you of peace in the present. Preparation is different from worry. Preparation involves taking practical steps to address potential challenges. Worry involves mental rehearsal of catastrophic scenarios without taking any constructive action. Preparation is productive. Worry is destructive. When you find yourself worrying, ask yourself, is there any action I can take right now to address this concern? If there is, take that action. If there is not, release the concern to me and focus your attention on what you can actually control in the present moment. Fifth principle: perfection is not the goal. Progress is the goal. Much of your overwhelm comes from perfectionist tendencies that make every task feel more complicated and time-consuming than it needs to be. You feel like everything must be done perfectly, completely, and immediately, which creates impossible standards that guarantee stress and disappointment. I am not calling you to perfection. I am calling you to faithfulness. I am not asking you to do everything perfectly. I am asking you to do what you can, with what you have where you are. I am not demanding immediate completion of all tasks. I am requesting steady progress in the right direction. When you release the need for perfection, you free yourself to take action, even when conditions are not ideal. You can start projects without having all the details figured out. You can make decisions without having complete information. You can move forward without knowing exactly how everything will work out. This does not mean you should be careless or sloppy. It means you should aim for excellence without demanding perfection. Strive for quality without requiring flawlessness, and pursue improvement without expecting immediate mastery. Sixth principle: presence is more powerful than productivity. You have been taught that your value comes from what you accomplish, that your worth is measured by your productivity, that your significance depends on your achievements. This belief system creates constant pressure to do more, be more, and accomplish more. But I want you to understand that your value comes from who you are, not from what you do. Your worth is inherent, not earned. Your significance is based on my love for you, not on your accomplishments for me. When you understand this truth, you can shift from productivity-focused living to presence-focused living. Instead of asking, "How much can I get done today?" you can ask, "How can I be fully present to what matters most today?" Instead of measuring success by tasks completed, you can measure success by love expressed, peace experienced, and relationships nurtured. This shift does not make you less productive. It makes you more effective. When you operate from presence rather than pressure, you make better decisions, create higher quality work, and experience greater satisfaction in your accomplishments. Seventh principle: surrender is not giving up, but giving over. The ultimate key to overcoming overwhelm is learning to surrender control over outcomes while maintaining responsibility for your actions. This is not passive resignation, but active trust. It is not giving up on your goals, but giving over your anxiety about achieving those goals. Surrender means doing your part and trusting me to do my part. It means taking appropriate action and releasing attachment to specific results. It means working diligently and resting peacefully, knowing that I am working even when you are not. This kind of surrender requires faith. Faith that I am good, that I am in control, that I have plans for your welfare and not for harm. It requires trust that I can handle what you cannot handle, solve what you cannot solve, and provide what you cannot provide. When you learn to surrender in this way, you discover that you can be fully engaged in life without being overwhelmed by life. You can care deeply about outcomes without being crushed by uncertainty. You can work hard without being driven by anxiety. Now, let me give you 5 practical strategies that will help you implement these principles and move from overwhelm to peace in your daily life. Step 1. Create a divine download practice that helps you distinguish between your responsibilities and my responsibilities. Every morning, spend 10 to 15 minutes writing down everything that is on your mind. All the tasks, worries, concerns, and responsibilities that are creating overwhelm. Do not edit or organize. Just get everything out of your head and onto paper. Next, go through your list and mark each item with one of 3 categories. Mine, things that are clearly your responsibility to handle. Ours, things that require your action, but also need my guidance and intervention. And yours, things that are completely beyond your control and need to be surrendered to me. For items marked mine, create specific action steps and timelines. For items marked ours, Identify what action you need to take, and then pray specifically for my guidance and provision. For items marked yours, practice releasing them to me through prayer and conscious surrender. This practice helps you see clearly what is actually yours to manage versus what you have been trying to control that is beyond your capacity. It transforms an overwhelming mental list into manageable categories with specific action steps. Step 2. Implement the sacred pause technique throughout your day to interrupt overwhelm before it builds. Set 3 alarms on your phone for morning, afternoon, and evening. When each alarm sounds, stop whatever you are doing and take a sacred pause, a 2-minute break to reconnect with me on Reset Your Nervous System. During each sacred pause, take 5 deep breaths, consciously releasing tension from your body. Ask yourself, what is most important right now? And how can I approach this next task from peace rather than pressure? End each pause with a brief prayer, asking for my guidance and strength. This practice interrupts the momentum of overwhelm before it becomes unmanageable. It helps you stay connected to me throughout the day, rather than only seeking me when you are already overwhelmed. It creates regular opportunities to recalibrate your priorities and approach. Step 3. Establish boundary rituals that protect your time, energy, and emotional resources. Create specific rituals that help you transition between different roles and responsibilities. For example, when you come home from work, spend 5 minutes in your car or at your front door, consciously releasing work stress and preparing to be present with your family. Develop standard responses for common boundary situations. Practice saying things like, "Let me check my calendar and get back to you. That sounds important, but I'm not available to help with that right now." Or, "I need to think about that before I can give you an answer." Create physical boundaries that support emotional boundaries. This might mean having a specific workspace that you can close off at the end of the day, turning off notifications during family time, or designating certain hours as unavailable for non-emergency requests. Schedule regular boundary reviews where you evaluate what is working and what needs to be adjusted. Look for patterns where you consistently feel overwhelmed and identify what boundaries need to be strengthened in those areas. Step 4. Develop a peace anchor practice that helps you access calm quickly when overwhelm begins. Choose a specific Bible verse, prayer, or phrase that represents peace to you. Memorize it completely so that you can recall it instantly when you feel overwhelmed beginning. Some examples might be still and know that I am God. My peace I give to you. Or, cast all your anxiety on me because I care for you. Practice using your peace anchor in calm moments so that it becomes automatically accessible during stressful moments. Repeat it while taking slow, deep breaths, allowing the truth of the words to settle into your nervous system. Create a physical gesture that you associate with your peace anchor. Perhaps placing your hand on your heart, taking a deep breath, or closing your eyes briefly. This physical action helps trigger the calming response, even when you cannot say the words out loud. Use your peace anchor whenever you notice the first signs of overwhelm, racing thoughts, physical tension, or emotional reactivity. The goal is to interrupt the overwhelm cycle before it gains momentum. Step 5. Build a sustainable rhythm that includes regular rest, renewal, and connection with me. Design a weekly schedule that includes specific times for rest, not just productivity. This might mean scheduling a weekly Sabbath, daily quiet time, or regular activities that restore your energy rather than drain it. Identify activities that genuinely restore you versus activities that you think should restore you. True restoration activities leave you feeling more energized, peaceful, and connected to me. Make sure your schedule includes these authentic restoration activities regularly. Create monthly and quarterly rhythms that include larger blocks of time for rest and renewal. This might mean scheduling regular retreats, vacations, or extended periods of reduced activity. Plan these times in advance rather than waiting until you are already overwhelmed. Evaluate your current commitments and eliminate or modify those that are not essential to your calling and well-being. Be ruthless about protecting your time and energy for what truly matters most. As you implement these practices, remember that overcoming overwhelm is a process, not a one-time event. You are retraining your nervous system, rewiring your thought patterns, and rebuilding your relationship with stress and responsibility. Be patient with yourself as you learn these new ways of living. Some days will be better than others. Some practices will feel more natural than others. The key is consistency, not perfection. Now I want you to close your eyes and let me speak peace over every area of your life where overwhelm has taken root. Let these words wash over you like gentle rain, bringing relief to your weary soul. My precious child, who has been carrying burdens too heavy for your heart, I speak peace over your anxious thoughts. Every racing thought, every spinning worry, every mental loop that has been stealing your rest, I quiet them all with my presence. Your mind is calm, your thoughts are clear, and your heart is at rest. I speak rest over your weary body. Every muscle that has been tense with stress, every nerve that has been frayed with pressure, every system that has been overwhelmed with demands, I restore them all with my healing touch. Your body is relaxed, your breathing is deep, and your energy is renewed. I speak boundaries over your overcommitted life. Every responsibility that is not yours to carry, every burden that belongs to someone else, every demand that exceeds your capacity, I release you from them all. You are free to say no, free to set limits, free to protect your peace. I speak priorities over your scattered focus. The truly important things in your life are becoming clear. The urgent things that are not important are losing their power over you. You know what matters most, and you have the wisdom to focus your energy there. I speak trust over your need to control. Every outcome you have been trying to force, every situation you have been trying to manage, every person you have been trying to fix, I take them all into my capable hands. You can release control because I am in control. I speak provision over your fears of lack. Every need you have been worried about, every resource you have been anxious about, every provision you have been trying to secure, I supply them all according to my riches in glory. You have everything you need for this moment, and I will provide everything you need for every future moment. I speak presence over your productivity pressure. You are valuable, not because of what you accomplish, but because of who you are. You are loved, not because of your performance, but because of my nature. You can rest in your identity as my beloved child. I speak divine rhythm over your chaotic schedule. There is a time for work and a time for rest, a time for engagement and a time for withdrawal, a a time for giving, and a time for receiving. You are learning to live in harmony with my rhythms rather than in opposition to them. Now, I want you to repeat these declarations of peace over your life. I am not responsible for everything. I can only do what I can do, and that is enough. My peace does not depend on my circumstances. I choose rest over rushing. I choose presence over productivity. I choose trust over control. I choose boundaries over burnout. I choose God's priorities over people's expectations. I am safe in God's hands. I am held by God's love. Feel these truths settling into your spirit like seeds in fertile soil. Let them take root in your heart and grow into a new way of living, a way of peace, rest, and divine calm. You are not meant to live overwhelmed. You are meant to live at peace. You are not meant to carry the weight of the world. You are meant to cast your cares on me. You are not meant to figure everything out. You are meant to trust me with what you cannot understand. My beloved child, as our time together comes to an end, I want you to know that you are leaving this moment with a new capacity for peace. The overwhelm that has been your constant companion is loosening its grip on your life. The anxiety that has been your default response is being replaced with trust. You are no longer someone who has to carry everything alone. You are someone who knows how to cast your cares on me. You are no longer someone who has to say yes to every request. You are someone who knows how to set healthy boundaries. You are no longer someone who has to control every outcome. You are someone who knows how to surrender with confidence. In the days ahead, you will begin to notice a shift in how you respond to stressful situations. Instead of immediately feeling overwhelmed, you will remember to pause and breathe. Instead of automatically taking on responsibilities that are not yours, you will ask yourself whether this is something I am calling you to do. You will find yourself sleeping better because you are not carrying tomorrow's worries into tonight's rest. You will find yourself more present in your relationships because you are not constantly distracted by your mental to-do list. You will find yourself more effective in your work because you are operating from peace rather than panic. There will be moments when the old patterns of overwhelm try to reassert themselves. When this happens, remember what you have learned today. Remember that you have tools now: the sacred pause, the peace anchor, the divine download, and the boundary rituals. Use these tools consistently, and they will serve you well. Remember that overcoming overwhelm is not about becoming perfect at managing everything. It is about becoming wise about what to manage and what to surrender. It is about learning to work from rest rather than striving from stress. It is about discovering that you can be fully engaged in life without being overwhelmed by life. Your relationships will improve as you learn to be present rather than preoccupied. Your work will improve as you learn to focus on what matters most rather than trying to do everything. Your health will improve as you learn to rest regularly rather than waiting until you are exhausted. Most importantly, your relationship with me will deepen as you learn to depend on my strength rather than relying solely on your own. You will discover that I am not just available to help you when you are overwhelmed. I am present to help you live in such a way that overwhelm does not have to be your normal experience. Tomorrow, you will wake up with a new understanding of what it means to live in peace. You will approach your day not with dread, about everything you have to do, but with confidence that I will guide you to what is truly important. You will face challenges, not with anxiety about how you will handle them, but with trust that I will provide what you need when you need it. The world around you may still be chaotic, but you will carry within you a peace that is not pendant on external circumstances. You will be like a tree planted by streams of water, rooted, stable, and fruitful even in difficult seasons. Come back tomorrow, and I will have another message for your heart. I will continue to teach you how to live in the peace, rest, and calm that I have always intended for you to experience. Until then, remember this: you do not have to carry the weight of the world. You do not have to have all the answers. You do not have to be everything to everyone. You are my beloved child, and I am your loving Father who delights in caring for you. Rest in my love. Trust in my provision. Live in my peace. I love you beyond measure,